crib for my mom on the outskirts of Philly. You trying to flex on me? Don't be silly. Getting jiggy with it. Getting jiggy with it. Getting jiggy with it. Getting jiggy with it.
I got my head out the sunroof, I'm blasting our favorite tunes. I only got one thing on my mind. You got me stuck on the thought of you. You're making me feel brand new. You're more than a sunshine in my eyes. You got those pretty eyes in your head, you know it. You got me dancing in my bed, so let me show it. You are exactly what I want, kinda cool and kinda not. Wanna give myself to you. Yeah, we're driving down the freeway at night. I only got one thing in the back of my mind. I'm feeling like this might be my time to shine with you, with you, with you. I got my head out the sunroof, I'm blasting our favorite tunes. I only got one thing on my mind. You got me stuck on the thought of you. You're making me feel brand new. You're more than a sunshine in my eyes. I got my head out the sunroof. You got me stuck on the thought of you. Yeah, we're driving down the freeway at night. I only got one thing in the back of my mind. I'm feeling like this might be my time to shine with you, with you, with you. I got my head out the sunroof, I'm blasting our favorite tunes. I only got one thing on my mind. You got me stuck on the thought of you. You're making me feel brand new. You're more than a sunshine in my eyes. La da la da la 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 da 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 dee da da la 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 da la da la 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 da la la
Good.
Cool. Can you guys hear me? Alright. Epic. Hello. Welcome to the Robot Reveal 2022. It's gonna be epic. Alright. Cool. We have the site. Alright. So let's jump right into it. Sorry for the wait. We were having numerous connection issues, but we got through it now. We're good. We're chilling. So let's begin. Could not load YouTube today. That's not good. Yeah, the game's not working. Let me see if I can find it on YouTube. Oh yeah, Alright, we'll just keep going. Alright. What? Good. You guys can just tell me what to do. Does it work on your? Cool. Epic. We were still having technology issues. So, good. You just skip it.
Oh, you just reload.
Just reload it. Alright, let's try it again. see if I can get it from here. Not reloading. I mean, we could just skip it. Should we just continue? I can't hear you guys. Oh, describe the game. Alright, cool. Alright, let's do that. Alright, so effectively, yeah, sorry about these issues here. So, effectively what's happening with this game is we have these cargo. Actually, wait, can one of you toss me a cargo? Alright, this thing. So, we effectively have to shoot these in a field element that's around 8 feet off the ground. And so, we have to make a robot that can take these off the floor, hold them, and then shoot them when we're ready to shoot them. That's the main part of the game. In addition, we also have you can think of it as like kind of like monkey bars, where you have to climb from one bar to the next. So effectively what we have to do is we have to lift our robot off the ground and onto these bars, and then use that to climb from one bar to the next, and so on. And so effectively, that's basically the game. We'll be able to go into a little bit more detail as we explain the mechanisms, but that's kind of the gist. Sorry that we couldn't do visuals, but yeah, these balls. Alright, let's get to it. Alright, so let's get started with the actual bot. Wade Jones. Alright, so these are a few pictures of our bot here. The left one is just a picture of it. It's just chilling over here. The middle one is actually, so remember how I talked about how we have to hang from those bars? That's actually the bot hanging right here. So, and then the right one's also a still of our bot in competition on an actual official playing field, which we attended competition last week. So this is Wade Jones. All right, Howie. I'll let you take charge from here.
Hello everyone, I'm Howie, I'm the Vice President on the team. So where does our tale begin? That's going to start off in off-season, that's August of this year, beginning of the school year. Our off-season began with 2 shipping containers and a construction site where our lab used to be. So a little bit of backstory, the school had to basically take down our old lab because they want to make a new lab, and in return we have 2 shipping containers where we have machining and storage and assembly and robots lab basically. So that's where we are this season. And of course, well, I should say not of course, but we used to have a practice field that the school gave us. Kind of fell over after a couple gusts of wind though, so it was not very sustainable. I guess a spoiler for ahead, we got a way better field, meaning this small gym right here, of course just outside of our lab where we just take out and unroll our carpet every time. That was very nice.
And yeah, this is here are a few images during the off season. These are just like every year we invite new rookies onto the team, and during the off season we basically teach them the skills that they need to know to be useful during the build season, which is when we actually build our robots. So here we have some rookies assembling a table. Here's some other rookies. These rookies are learning how to use the mill. In the middle picture over here, that's what this green machine over here is called. And then in the right picture over here, here are a bunch of rookies learning how to wire the robot.
Hi, yes, good morning. Yeah, so we had 2 shipping containers, and then, yeah, like just like that, our season began. And then the first thing we do in season is kick off, which is basically the first day of the season. And probably because that is when the game is revealed to us, so we are told what exactly we have to do this season, what kind of bot we have to make, what kind of things we will be doing. And yeah, we all got up in the morning, which was hard, and then yeah, we lost the game that we weren't able to see earlier or whatever. So yeah, we lost the game, we figured out what we have to do, and then the first thing we did was brainstorm what kind of things we can do on our bot. Because in kickoff, we don't know anything yet. We basically have a clean slate. We don't know what we're going to be doing, so we have to figure that out. So yeah, we brainstormed all kinds of ideas, such as like how to get these balls into our bot, how to like shoot these balls and whatnot. Yeah, as you can see, these are some sketches of ideas that the students had, and then yeah, you can see all of us having so much fun. Yeah, we also made priority lists and goals for our bot and whatnot. And then we also started prototyping, which is basically making wood replicas of our most promising ideas to see if they work, and then if they do work, we can actually get a more realistic design and then make it. So yeah, that's what we did in kickoff.
Alright. We should probably take our masks off in front of the camera. It's probably fine. Alright, yeah, none of the videos are loading. That's a bummer. Okay, well I guess we'll skip these. I was not expecting this to happen. Alright, but effectively, you know, we did a lot of prototypes. We made wooden mock-ups of all our mechanisms. And again, it's, as Yuta said, it's very useful. It allows us to, you know, figure out the flaws of our design earlier and then make a better one when we make the actual mechanism out of more expensive materials like metal and plastic, and use like real motors instead of drills. So yeah. Do you want me to do it? Yeah, I can do it. All right. So we start off the season with week 1 and 2. So initially what we did was we got the drivetrain done. That effectively just allows the robot to drive on the field. Without the drivetrain, you really can't do anything. And so we actually made 2 drivetrains that were completely identical to each other. That way we could use them for drive practice, and that was the Playground Monkey. And that's the name of our practice bot. And we just use it for a lot of practicing. And we also got the main drivetrain done. So you look at these drivetrains, they're 2 different ones. And we actually use these for prototyping. As you can tell, we have a shooter prototype over here. And then we just have a random drivetrain over there. And then we have our drivers, you know, pivoting around cones and stuff. Just to get a better idea of how the robot feels to actually drive. Make sure to hold it like pretty close to you.
Okay, and after week 1 is week 2, that's how numbers work. So next up is week 2 and 3, that's when we started doing CAD. So everything that we've been prototyping, it leads up to what we design finally in 3D modeling, and then finally what we assemble into the final product, which is our beautiful Raid drones. So week 2 and 3, we had our first iterations done in the CAD, as you can see here. The robot was somewhat together at that point, which was probably a good time to have a design review, so we could make sure that we're on the right track, we're making things correctly. And thank God for that, because we had a lot of iterations due in iteration number 2. So as you can see, things got a lot beefier. So that made our robot a lot better in the long run. Yeah. And then a lot of these, especially with intake, I'm going to call that one out. Intake had a lot of iterations. We got a lot of people to crash test it multiple times. So that was really fun to do, and a lot of redesign, but it's really cool now. We'll talk more about it later. Yes. Okay, yes. Thank you. Okay, and then after iteration number 2, we had another design review to iterate even further, and of course that made it even better. Oh wait, I can do that. And then this is just what the final CAD looked like after we finished CADing everything.
Alright, and now we come to weeks 4 and 5. So at this point, a lot of the initial robot has been done, like the shooter, the intake mag, and the passive hooks are like assembled. And as you can see, the robot is looking a lot more complete than it did when we just had a drivetrain. And the software and wiring are also done for like the magazine intake and drivetrain. So that means we can drive around and we can intake and store balls in our robot. And here are a few images. Yeah.
Yes. And then, finally we had week 7 and, 6 and 7. I can count, yes. So yeah, week 6 and 7 is just finishing touches. We fully assembled our bot. We actually put on our climbers. As you can see, those are called telescoping arms. Those are what extend climb onto those bars. We also made a couple of tweaks to the design as well. And yeah, overall, the robot was just complete and it was ready to go, and we were very excited.
Alright, and then we have bumpers. So bumpers are really important for the robot because when you're competing against 5 other robots on the field, 3 to 6-1, there's a lot of collisions. And that means that if you just have like 2 robots slam into each other, you're going to break both robots, which means that we have bumpers on the outside of each robot that are partially made out of foam, and that they have like a foam padding. And that means that we can take those collisions and it doesn't break everything. That's pretty nice. I like it when things don't break. So we made nice fancy bumpers for our robot, and those bumpers also have our team number on them so that we can identify the bot. And so we have some pictures over here of us making the bumpers. Oh, the YouTube videos work. Yes. Alright, you want to do it?
Yeah.
Let's get it.
Finally, okay, alright. Just in time too, because these are probably the coolest mechanisms, or at least climb is my personal favorite. So, okay, competition week 0 and 1, that's the time right after build season, because build season is 6 weeks long. And then you have a grace period until your competition, and our competition was week 2. So we had both week 0 and week 1 to keep working on the robot. And because it was mechanically ready, this was basically software's time to take the reins and do what they do best. So we're working. Okay, here, look at this one. There was a sub 20-second climb. Actually, it was around 20 seconds, but we could have done a sub 20-second climb, which is really good for us because it's out of points. So it was really great that we got that consistently down. We ran it like 15 times the day we got it working, so it worked really well, and it never failed as a competition. And the next thing up was shooting. Here's a short video of our shooting. Yep. And that right there is the hub, because we missed the opening video, but that's what the hub looks like generally. So we have to shoot into a coop up there, and as you can see, we made it in. So our shooter was pretty ready. We had to tweak a few things at the
Okay.
Okay, basically, you guys need to be a lot louder. Like,
Okay, yeah, good.
Okay. It sounds like we're back. Let us know if we have any issues again, or if we like. Are we good? Okay, cool. We're good. Okay, I think I left off on shooting. I hope everyone got to see that awesome climb right there, but I'll talk about shooting again. So shooting, because we missed the intro video, this structure right here is what the the target looks like this year. Yep. At the time, the structure that we have didn't have sides on it, though, so those technically would have made it in, because you can see they just went under the hoop. In competition, they would have gotten in, which means our shooter was pretty much working at the time. We had to do just to make it more consistent, but overall, pretty all right for before competition.
All right, so yeah, even though we got like some stuff working, there are still plenty of problems. So one problem that we had was shooter oscillations. Basically, when our shooter was running, like our robot would vibrate a lot, and that causes issues because that results in like bolts falling out, and we kind of don't want our robot to self-destruct when we're trying to shoot. So our solution to that was to only run on like percentage of power. Basically, feed the motors percentage of the power. What we were doing before was we were running it at a specific RPM, but when we were running it at a percentage of power, that made it smoother, and it's a lot easier to implement than trying to get it to a specific RPM. And there wasn't much time before competition, so we had to resort to that. Another problem was that the drivetrain stuttered, and this was fixed by clearing these things called sticky faults. They're basically, these are caused when the battery becomes low, and we have to clear these every time we turn the robot on or like replace a battery. And another problem we had was weak climber pistons, and this was fixed by just getting bigger and better ones, beefier ones, and we moved the position of the pistons so that we could optimize the torque. And one last problem was our intake retainability. Basically, we did a bunch of stress testing, and we also went to a scrimmage. And what we found out was that after a lot of like collisions, our intake pistons would bend, and that's not ideal if you want the intake to work. So what we did was we just added aluminum paths to keep the pistons from bending too far. And all of these problems were solved before the Ventura competition, which giving us an absolutely amazing pit crew who knew exactly how to fix the robot efficiently after each match.
All right, cool. Let's talk about the specific mechanisms. So I'll start with the drivetrain. So the drivetrain dimensions are 26 inches by 28 inches. So that's, it's above, more than 2 feet by 2 feet. So it's a sizable robot. It's definitely nothing small. And you can choose how large you want your robot. You just can't do it too large. So you could have a tiny robot, or you could go to the maximum, which we were very close to, actually. There's a maximum size that your robot can be. And we wanted to do it because we wanted to be able to have enough room to put all the mechanisms on our bot, including a full traverse climb, which is, climbing to the highest bar, which you guys saw earlier. And we wanted a wide intake as well, and just the magazine and shooter. And those take up a lot of space. So we needed to account for that and make sure that our bot had enough space. We also have some 4-inch wheels on the drivetrain that are pretty good. And we also have a drop center. Effectively, what that means is that the middle wheel is actually a little bit lower than the other 2 wheels. And what that does is it allows us just to have a little bit less friction on the field. So that way, when we turn the bot, it doesn't make the wheels want to cry, effectively, for lack of a better term. All right. Oh yeah, the gearboxes. So the gearboxes are actually, we bought the gearboxes. And the reason we did that is because they're simple, we know they're going to work, and we can focus our resources into making unique, innovative mechanisms like our climb, which was a lot harder to do. So we just wanted to make sure we had a solid foundation for the drivetrain before going anywhere, and it works. And that's kind of what we're looking for. And it also goes 15 feet per second at its maximum speed. That's really fast. So, yeah, that's about it. I think there's a lot of technicals in here for all you FRC nerds, but effectively what we we have a lot of flexibility with the drivetrain, and it's very consistent and works really well. All right, intake. Pranesh, would you like to do intake? Sure. Epic.
Okay, so intake. Intake's pretty cool. I'll say this. These balls are huge, and because of this, we wanted a wide intake because it's easier to pick up balls that way. So pretty much how our intake works is it's a 4-bar intake. So if you look at the red bar and the white bar, those are, well, the 4 bars. And what this allows our robot to do is essentially store our intake above our bot in starting configuration, because we need our bot to be within the specific size parameter, essentially, at the beginning of the game. And then with our pistons, we deploy the intake, and this allows us to actually pick up balls. And the entire intake is driven by one Falcon motor, and the plates and the bars are all made out of polycarb. And as Abhinav was talking about earlier, we have these aluminum pads, essentially, and these allow the pistons to be a little more protected. And yeah, we use compliant wheels and the mechanism wheels. The mechanism wheels are basically these wheels that allow the ball to be centered so that it enters our magazine a little more smoothly. And here is our intake being deployed. As you guys saw, it was on top of the magazine, and then it was on the ground. And here's the bot just driving around with the intake deployed. Okay, now magazine.
Ah, yes, my proud creation, my baby. All right, here we go. So, magazine. My mask is falling off, great. So, basically what the magazine is that we need a way for the ball to get from the intake to the shooter somehow. And the magazine is the mechanism that allows us to do that. So, basically for this year, we used a thing called PVC rollers. It's basically these plastic circular roller things. You can kind of see it on here. But yeah, we have a bunch of that, and then they will roll, and then it's going to go from here to here. And then, yeah, we have the shooter attached here. So, yeah. And, yeah, so the first, so to get a little more into detail, there's 0.75 inches of compression on the ball for the FRC nerds, yes. The first set of rollers are also wheels instead of rollers because we wanted to make sure that it has enough torque to get into the magazine to fully ensure that it's gonna go in instead of doing weird things. And then right here, the last one, instead of having a roller there, we made it into a large compliant wheel. It's just basically a very squishy wheel, but it's large. So yeah, this is basically to stop the ball from going into the shooter before we want it to. That was a problem we had in our last bot, and it works surprisingly well. So yeah, I'm pretty proud of my creation. Yeah, and other things, it's run by three motors. The one that's on bottom, the one that's on top, and then this thing is run separately so that we can put the balls in when we want to shoot. And then, yeah, as far as I know, there are no dead zones. Hopefully there are no dead zones. And yeah, another thing to note, we can outtake the ball smoothly as well, because that is a major part of the game this year. Because if you intake the wrong color ball and shoot it, that will give the opponent points and not you. So if we pick up the wrong color ball, we want to be able to release it, and it can do that. So overall, it works, and I'm pretty happy about it. And this is a video of when it first ran. yeah, so that's what it does. So yeah, that was the first time it ran, and guess what? I made it, but I wasn't there. Oh well. All right. Here you go.
Tisk tisk. Could not wait to see. He just couldn't watch. He couldn't be around when his baby was made. Anyway. All right. Time for my child. I made the shooter this year. And basically what it does, the basic concept of it is a wheel spins really fast and a ball gets pushed up against that and it'll basically shoot the ball up. And it follows this path on the back of the shooter here. And how that's run is by 2 Falcon motors right here in front of this flywheel. To go into specifics, the flywheel is a 4-inch urethane wheel, or 2 of them, and then 1 4-inch aluminum wheel between them. That's mainly to make it really heavy because the heavier the flywheel, the less time it takes for the shooter to go back up to speed. It's kind of some inertia stuff going on there. As Abhinit said before, we use percent power instead of RPM control because PID tuning was having a little bit of trouble. We were having oscillations, which means our shooting wouldn't have been consistent if we used that at the competition. That is a future goal, though. We're working on it, and it's gonna work. I have confidence. Also, future goals for the shooter. At the competition, we had a fixed speed, which means we could only shoot from one spot on the field. But our goal for the next competition, which is in 2 weeks, is to shoot based on auto aim. So the limelight here, that's mounted here, it not only tells us where the target is, but how far away it is. So if we can work out a way to make the shooter run at a speed based on how far it is away from the target, then we can shoot from pretty much anywhere on the field, which is kind of cool in my opinion. So again, yeah, as the limelight, as I mentioned before, the limelight is also targeting where the target is, and basically that means it's XY positioning. So if the shooter is aimed slightly to the left of the target, it'll move the robot so that it's fully center, which gives us more accurate shooting. Some more specifics, the backing of the shooter is polycarb. It's just bent along these hex shafts here. Well, bent, I should say zip tied, really. You'll see it when we do the demonstration, but it's basically zip tied to a piece of polycarb. And it works pretty well, so simple solution. And of course, what is this? Oh, right, we added in a new thing recently, which was a structure support here on the shooter, which would dampen the vibrations, which we were talking about earlier too. Basically, when we would run this flywheel, it would vibrate the robot a lot. So we connected it to the climber mounting piston structure, and that dampened the vibration a lot. So that was really helpful. Just some live pictures, because I know we don't want to look at CAD all the time. Got to look at the real thing. So here's the limelight mount in all its glory, and the flywheel motors. Right, and a little bit of demonstration. I think this is the same video I showed before, but this is us shooting for the first time. Pretty neat. And then I just added this in here because we went to the competition last week, so we have some footage of us shooting in the actual game. Hopefully this works. No! There we go. Look at that beautiful shooter. So consistent. There we go. All right, climber next. Caleb.
All right, let's look at the climber. So climber is, in my opinion, the coolest mechanism on the bot, but I also designed it, so I might be a little bit biased. Hallie is...
It is the coolest thing.
Hallie agrees, yay. All right, so effectively what we use is we have 2 arms that can extend upwards to get us onto each bar. And we also have 2 passive hooks. So we have 4 hooks total. And so if you look at the right image here, you can kind of see a CAD render of our climber. And it's controlled by only 1 motor and 2 pistons, which is really simple for something that lifts our butt and gets it up 2 bars. That's really good. We went for simplicity for this climber, and it worked out because our climber was very consistent at competition. Almost every match we were able to at least climb onto the 2nd bar, most of the time we were able to get it onto third and fourth, but sometimes we like ran out of time. Because I mean, it does take 20 seconds. So if the match ends in 15 seconds, you're not going to be able to get to the full climb. So I think the best way to do it is to just look at the videos. I think we have some. Oh no, we showed video earlier, right? I forgot about that. So yeah, you can basically we get onto one bar and then we allow it to latch onto the next bar, and then we pull it up. You get onto that bar, latch onto the next bar, pull up, get onto that bar, and now, ta-da! We're on. We've climbed. Boom. But the climber was not perfect. So our climber swung a lot. And due to the swinging, the climber pistons, just like the intake pistons, bent a little bit. It was barely noticeable, but it caused a little bit of friction in the climb, and that meant that they weren't able to extend as fast or as easily. And that's a problem when you want to climb fast, or if you want to climb, period. It had a few issues at the very end of our competition where we were only really able to get that second bar because they couldn't extend all the way to the next bar. And so we realized, hey, the swing is kind of a problem. So for the next competition, we're actually going to add some grippy material to the hooks to see if we can prevent the swinging a little bit and see if we can do anything about that. And then, yeah, like towards the end of the day, it extended more and more slowly because the pistons were just slowly getting bent every time we hung. So it's a little bit of a problem, but we're working on fixing it. We know exactly what needs to be done, and you bet we're coming in hot for our next competition. All right, I'll give this to Albany.
Yep. All right, now it's time to talk about software. All right, let's talk about vision. So there are a few things that vision does. One thing it does is its auto aim. I think Hallie mentioned this earlier. Basically, the bot rotates such that it faces the target. So that means that there's no need for a driver to worry about manually aiming the robot. So that increases how many times we can shoot during a match. Yeah, it basically just makes us more efficient, like during the match. And a future goal is to be able to make the shooter flywheel spin at an optimal RPM, so that the balls shot consistently go into the target. And we would use a distance calculated by the limelight in order to determine the optimal RPM. All right, let's talk about autonomous. So autonomous is basically it's a 15-second period at the beginning of each match, and as you can probably tell, the robot moves autonomously. Like there's no driver control; it just moves on its own. And right now we have a 2-ball autonomous routine, and what that means is that the robot drives forward a certain distance to intake a ball, and then the robot does a 180, and then it drives forward a certain distance, and then it shoots 2 balls. And just for context, before each match, the robot is preloaded with 1 ball, so we have 1 ball at the beginning of the match, and then another ball that it intakes, and so that's 2 balls shot. A future goal is to have more complicated autonomous routines for more flexibility during matches at comps. Like our 2-ball is simple and it works, but having more would mean that we have more options for the beginning of our autonomous and more points scored. And for our next competition, a 4-ball autonomous would be quite nice. Okay, now we come to intake for software, that is. So we have 2 buttons. There's 1 button for intaking the balls. So how this works is that the intake automatically actuates upon pressing the button, so that means like it goes down. And this is done so that the operator doesn't have to worry about like manually deploying it. So that's 1 less button the operator has to worry about. And the intake wheels spin while the button is being held, and the magazine rollers and kicker wheels also spin so the balls don't go into the shooter while intaking, but balls are still secured in the robot. After the button is released, the wheels stop spinning and the intake pistons retract. The other button is for outtaking balls that we don't want. As mentioned before, if we shoot wrong color balls into the target, then that means that the opponent gets those points, and we don't want that. So when this button is held, only the magazine rollers and kicker wheel spin to make the balls roll out, because there really is no need for the intake to go down and spin outwards when outtaking balls, and this reduces the chance of another robot colliding with and breaking our intake during a match. All right, next up is shooter. So there's 1 button to get the flywheel spinning to a default RPM before actually shooting, and this allows the flywheel to get up to speed so that there is less wait time for shooting. The other button is to shoot. Another button is to shoot automatically. This button first aims the robot, and then it sets the flywheel RPM to an optimal speed for the distance the robot is from the target. As mentioned before, we don't actually have this yet. This is a future goal. And then after this optimal speed has been reached, the magazine rollers and kicker wheel spin so that the balls are shot from the robot. And we have another robot to aim manually. And this button is in case the limelight does not work. Like, for example, it could be incorrectly tuned for the lighting, or there could be a bunch of other stuff that's going on. So in this case, the driver would have to manually aim the robot since we wouldn't have the auto aim provided by the limelight. And the shooter flywheel would not adjust speed based on distance, but we would just be shooting at the default RPM. And the magazine rollers and kicker wheel, they just do the same thing as in auto aim shooting, just they do their thing so that the balls can get out of the robot. All right, next up is climber, and this has 3 buttons associated with it. The first button that we press is one to extend the climber so that the hooks are in position to get onto that mid bar. And another button is to track the climber once the robot has been lined up with the mid bar. And pressing this button basically means that we're hanging from that first bar, that mid bar. And then the last button executes a routine that makes the robot advance up 1 bar. So pressing this button after the robot has made it to the mid bar would result in it hanging on the high bar, and then after pressing it again would result in our robot hanging on the traversal bar, which is the main goal. And this was done so that the operator has to worry about less. So like instead of like doing a complicated routine to like extend it a bit and then make the pistons go out and then like extend it even more, there's just like 3 buttons that the operator has to press in order to like get our robot onto that traversal bar. Yeah.
Yep, so that's it about our robot. We're just gonna say thank you to a couple of people who helped us get here, and thank them for the support all along the way. First up is our wonderful sponsors. Thank you for the funding. We couldn't have made all this cool stuff. Definitely couldn't have afforded all this cool stuff without you. A lot of these electronic parts and motors are definitely very expensive, so thank you very much for funding us. Next up is Prospect High School itself. Thank you for the space we've been given, even during construction. It's kind of difficult, especially when you have two projects going on at the same time. It's great we're able to use this gym. It's great we have Mr. Sleemock's room. We have the 2 shipping containers. It's better than nothing, and we're very grateful for it. Of course, our mentors and parents, thank you for all the support, whether it be meals, construction of field elements, donations of money or time. We definitely could not have gotten here without you. So thank you for all of your support. And finally, thank you to the team members. Your dedication and hard work has gotten us here, making this amazing robot, which we're about to show in a live demonstration right now. Okay, can we get people? Let's move Wade Jones. All right.
It's a robot.
First ever public view of Wade Jones himself. Okay, let's see if we can swap cameras. Okay. Yes, let's get our beautiful bumpers as well. Oh, hi. Okay, everyone say hello to Wade Jones. Hello. Good job, you passed the test. Okay, can we get it running?
Yeah.
Let's do the thing. I love that catchphrase.
Alrighty. Yeah, so we won't be able to climb here because we're in a slightly different space. Hi. All right, we won't be able to climb because we're in a slightly different space. And our climbing hangar is well, in our outdoors lab. So, but we can do everything else. We can intake, we can shoot. It'll be pretty chill. And show what we're about. All right, we're just waiting to get connected here, but yeah.
I don't know how good the angle is, but we can point out the climber, even though we're not gonna run it or anything.
Yeah, here, come bring the camera closer.
That's fine. I don't think we can bring.
Oh,
I don't think we
never
can bring
mind.
the camera.
I take that back. We have the mic. So, so we have these hooks here that are spring-loaded. And so you can kind of see here, and we also have these hooks over here. Those can extend and grab onto the bar. They can't extend right now because we have forced them to not extend. We have a zip tie because they like to extend by themselves because we're just annoying like that. And so we basically told them, no, you're not allowed to extend. And so, yeah. But normally, during the match, we don't have to worry about that. And then we want them to extend when we're climbing, so. Normally, we wouldn't have to zip tie on, but right now we do. We got
Wade
vibes.
Jones to do his thing.
Let's go.
But back here, Igo was talking about. I don't know if you can see this. See if we can rotate Wade Jones a little
You
bit.
can see the yellow.
Yeah, the yellow zip ties. So right here, this is the this is the hood, and these little bands of yellow are the zip ties.
Yeah. All right. All
We-
zip tied on, and it works really well.
I think we're ready to go.
Okay, we're ready to go.
Let's get it.
Hey Yuta, Archer, do you
Oh, I get the mic.
I need to.
A blessing. Cool. All right. Cool. It drives. What? I don't know where the ball. Hey, someone chuck a ball. Yeah, I'm being. Alright. Alright, let's try shooting it. We're just gonna shoot it into the space because, like, we don't have anything to shoot it at right now. Sure. Let's do it. We're doing a shoot. Funny joke. Shooter having issues? It won't fill up? That's not fun. Yeah, we just made repairs to the bot too, so that could have affected it. Oh, it's a controller? Okay. Cool. Glad it's not the shooter at least. I like it when mechanisms aren't broken. That's pretty ideal usually. Hi. Oh, that's a camera. I didn't think about that. Let's do a short interview. All right, what made you join Prospect Robotics?
Hallie told me to.
Say it louder for the mic.
Hallie told me to.
All right, Hallie, what made you join Prospect Robotics?
I really wanted to drive the robot, and wow, look at that! That's what I'm doing today.
Cool. Hey, Pertol, come here. You're gonna be interviewed. All right, why did you join Prospect Robotics?
Because being an operator is my dream job. It's what I want to do for the rest of my life, and that's why I'm here. Oh my God, I'm doing it too. I'm fulfilling my dreams.
Congratulations. Who else can we steal? Wait. Hi, Jacob. Why did you join Prospect Robotics?
I don't know.
You don't know.
I just did.
You just did. All right, valid. I refuse to interview Yuta.
What? No, can't do that. Give me the mic.
No.
Issa, why did you want to join robotics?
Why did you want to join robotics?
I joined robotics because it's fun.
How did you know it?
And if you want to join robotics after this season, we'll be open for like anyone and everyone that wants to join. So if you're not a Prospect High School student, yeah, sorry, you can't join. But if you go to Prospect, we're open. We're chilling. Hi.
Can we try this again?
Yes, let's try it again.
Try it again.
Take two. Take two. Cool. Epic. We'll see. Let's try it again. Wait. Oh my! Y'all literally shot the. Let's try not to kill a rig. No, let's get. Okay. Boom. Shoot it maybe like that way. It's not spooling.
Oh, wait.
Something happened. Oh, now it works.
Wait, hold on. I'm going to try just spooling.
Is spooling not working? Probably a controller issue. Sad. Cool. Let's intake balls again, guys. So yeah, just like that, we have 2 balls. Pretty cool. Unfortunately, yeah, we're... Controller issues. Do you want me to fix the ball? Alright, let me get that out of here. Alright, cool. Yeah, we can also outtake. Unfortunately, we're having a few issues, but you got to see like 1 or 2 shots. We'll fix the controller later. But the robot works, so yeah, that's I think that's about it for the live demo. What? Queuing. Oh yeah, you have questions? We can do a QA. So I have no clue what you're saying.
Yeah.
If you have questions, then let us know.
Let us know.
I can check the YouTube chat right now.
Or Kenny can tell us.
Yeah, or like yeah, you can like tell us. Alright, I see no questions like that. So cool. Also, if you want to contact us, you know, come check out our Instagram. It's FRC2813 on Insta. Come give it a follow. We also, obviously, make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Come on, I had to promote it. All right, cool. We good? We're chilling. Thank you for tuning in. I think this concludes the reveal night. So
Everyone come in.
everyone come in.
Everyone
Yep.
come in and say bye.
All right. Cool.
Here's Kenny, our wonderful
Yeah,
stream
Kenny-
coordinator.
Kenny allowed all of
Kenny,
this.
we gotta move
Happy
over.
birthday. Also,
Yeah.
you're referring to my name, but like
Hey.
I never actually introduced
Cool.
myself.
All right.
Cool. All right.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
Epic. Technically, we're still streaming, but cool. Epic.
All right, let's get this controller issue figured out.
Jump out that sofa. Come on. Let's get off. Fill up my cup. Drink. Mazel tov. Look at her dancing. Move it. Just take it off. Let's paint the town. We'll shut it down. Let's burn the roof. And then we'll do it again. Let's do it Let's do it, let's do it, let's do it, and do it, and do it. Let's live it up and do it, and do it, and do it, do it, do it. Let's do it, let's do it, let's do it, do it, do it, do it. Here we come, here we go. We gotta rock, 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 rock. Easy come, easy go. Now we on top. Feel the shot, body rock, rock it, don't stop. Round and round, up and down, around the clock. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Saturday to Sunday. Get with us, you know what we say. Party every day, party every day, and I'm feeling that tonight's gonna be a good night. That tonight's gonna be a good night. That tonight's gonna be a good, good night. Feeling that tonight's gonna be a good night. That tonight's gonna be a good night. That tonight's gonna be a good, good night. Lady